If you're a pen tester and you keep seeing red team everywhere, job postings, LinkedIn, conferences, and you think it's basically just harder pen testing, I need you to hear me on this. That's wrong. And that misconception is one of the biggest things keeping you stuck. I've been doing offensive security for over 20 years. I've done pen tests, I've done red team ops, and I can tell you the gap between the two is not what most people think it is. It's not about knowing more exploits. It's not about being more technical. It's a completely different way of thinking about what you're doing and why. So today, I'm going to break down 5 skill changes that separate pen testers from red team operators. And you don't need to wait for someone to hand you a red team title to start building these. You can start applying them on your very next engagement. The misconception. So let's start with the thing everyone gets wrong. People think red teaming is pen testing on hard mode. Like you just need to learn more tools, get more certs, pop harder boxes, and eventually someone says, "Congrats, you're a red teamer now." That's not how it works. The difference isn't difficulty, it's purpose. A pen test answers the question, what vulnerabilities exist in this system? You're trying to find as many issues as possible and report them. Cool? A red team engagement answers a very different question. Could a real adversary achieve this objective without being detected and stopped? You're not finding vulns. You're testing the entire defense. The people, the processes, the detection capability, the incident response, everything. Once you understand that distinction, everything else I'm about to tell you is going to make a lot more sense. Skill shift 1. Vulnerability hunting to objective-based operations. This is the first and probably the most important skill change. On a pen test, your job is to find vulnerabilities. You're scanning, you're enumerating, you're trying to cover as much surface area as possible. That's the gig. On a red team engagement, you get an objective, something like exfiltrate data from the finance share, or get domain admin access without triggering an alert in the SOC. And now your entire approach changes. You're not trying to find everything. You're trying to find the one path of least resistance to get that specific goal. That means you're making decisions constantly. Do I go after this host or that one? Do I fish or do I try the VPN? Every choice is about getting closer to the objective without burning your access. That's a whole different game. And here's something you can do right now. On your next pen test, after you write your normal report, write a one-page attack narrative. Pretend you were a real attacker, targeting one specific asset. What path would you take and why? That exercise alone will start shifting how you approach engagements. Skill shift 2. Running tools to thinking in kill chains. When I was earlier in my career doing pen tests, my workflow was pretty linear. Nmap, enumerate services, find the vuln, exploit it, grab the proof, write it up. Sound familiar? Red teaming forced me to think differently. You're not just exploiting one thing. You're chaining techniques across an entire kill chain. Initial access, execution, persistence, privilege escalation, lateral movement, collection, exfiltration. Each phase has its own challenges and its own tradecraft. The real skill here isn't knowing every tool. It's understanding how techniques connect across these phases. You compromise one endpoint, but then what? How do you persist? How do you move laterally without lighting up the SIM? How do you get from a foothold on a workstation to the data you actually need? If you want to start building this, spend some time with the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And I don't mean memorizing technique IDs. I mean actually understanding the relationships. Look at how initial access leads to execution, how execution enables persistence, how persistence supports lateral movement. That's the thinking you need. Skill shift 3, loud and fast to stealth and evasion. This one is huge, and it's probably the most fun one to talk about. On a standard pentest, nobody is actually watching you. You can run nesses, you can fire off exploits, you can be as loud as you want. The goal is to find the vulns, not to be sneaky about it. On a red team engagement, the blue team is hunting you. They're watching the logs. They're monitoring network traffic. They're waiting for you to make a mistake. And if they catch you early, the engagement is essentially over, or at least their attack path is burned. So you start caring about things most pentesters never think about. OPSEC, how your C2 traffic looks on the wire. Whether you are using legitimate admin tools instead of known malicious ones. Living off the land. Time stomping. Cleaning up artifacts. Blending in with normal network behavior. Here's what it comes down to. Before every action, you ask yourself, can I do this without being detected? And if the answer is no, you find another way. That discipline, that constant awareness, is what separates operators from pentesters, more than any technical skill. Skill shift 4, solo operator to team-based tradecraft. Pentesting is usually a solo thing. Maybe you've got a partner on a bigger engagement, but for the most part, you're on your own. Your methodology, your tools, your pace. Red teaming is a team sport. You're coordinating with other operators. Someone's handling the phishing campaign. Someone's managing the C2 infrastructure. Someone is doing recon, and you are all operating in the same target environment, trying not to step on each other's toes. That means communication becomes a critical skill. You need to know what everyone else is doing at all times, because if two operators touch the same system without knowing it, you create noise, and noise gets you caught. You need clean handoffs when people goes off shift. This is the one that catches a lot of technical strong people off guard, because being good at hacking and being a good operator on a team are two different skills. It's not just about what you can do, it's about being someone other operators trust to be disciplined, to communicate clearly, and not to go rogue in the middle of an operation. If you want to start practicing this now, next time you're on a pentest with even one other person, run it like an operation. Assign roles, keep a shared log of every action, debrief at the end. It feels weird at first, but that's the kind of practice that actually translates. Skill shift 5, findings report to strategic storytelling. Last one, and honestly, I think this might be the most underrated skill in all of offensive security. A Pentest report is a list of findings. Here's the vulnerability, here's the CVSS score, here's the remediation. It's technical, it's thorough, and let's be real, most executives don't read it past the summary. A red team report tells a story. We started with nothing but your company name. Within 48 hours, we had a foothold on your network through a phishing email. By day 3, we had domain admin. By the end of the week, we had accessed production customer data and exfiltrated it without a single alert being raised. Here's how. Here's what that means for your business. And here's what needs to change. That's a completely different thing. It's the difference between handing someone a spreadsheet and telling them a story that makes them actually feel the risk. And it's the skill that gets you in front of the people who actually control the budget and the priorities. The pro tip here is simple. Frame every finding around business impact, not technical severity. We accessed production customer data. It's 10 times harder than we exploited CVE 2024 whatever with a CVSS of 9.8. One of these makes a CISO lose sleep. The other one gets forwarded to a patching team and forgotten. So those are the 5 skill changes: objective-based thinking, kill chain awareness, stealth and evasion, team-based tradecraft, and strategic storytelling. That's the real skill stack. None of these require a job title change. None of them require a new cert. You can start building every single one of them on your next engagement. The pen testers who make that change, who start thinking and operating this way, they're the ones who end up on the red teams. And it usually happens faster than they expected. Drop a comment and tell me which one of those 5 skill changes you're working on right now. I read every single one. And if you want to keep learning, watch this video next, where I dive into the key differences between pen testing and red teaming in cybersecurity. I'll see you there.